On behalf of St. Mary's University, I feel honored to be able to welcome you all to the 21st International Conference on Private Higher Education in Africa. Before I begin my talk, please allow me to thank His Excellency Dr. Samuel Kifle, a State Minister for Higher Education, the Federal Ministry of Education, for being able to join us and grace the occasion despite his extremely busy schedule. Beyond his individual commitment, this is a clear manifestation of the Ministry's generous and continued support to such national initiatives and collective endeavors. What makes this year's conference unique is the fact that it's being held alongside the 25th anniversary of the university's establishment. Despite the ups and downs, St. Mary's has grown from a small language school to a full-fledged university with more than 700 staff and diversified undergraduate and postgraduate studies offered in different modes at undergraduate and graduate levels. We're grateful to all who have accompanied us in this arduous journey with their trust, encouragement, support, and professional contribution. The theme of this year's conference is Sustainable Development in Higher Education, Reality or High. As usual, the conference brings together local and international speakers, higher education institution leaders, paper presenters, researchers, policy decision makers, industries, and participants drawn from the private and public sectors, as well as regional and international organizations. The conference aims to initiate useful dialogue and discussion on the roles of higher education in Africa's sustainable future. Given their critical role and contribution, higher education institutions should be active participants in the sustainable development movement, which campaigns for the interests of future generations and the Earth's capacity to regenerate. In particular, Africa's higher education institutions need to address the multifaceted challenges the continent is facing, such as poverty, enhance employment opportunities for its youth to eradicate poverty, and ultimately meet SDGs, Agenda 2063, CISA 2025, as well as other relevant regional, sub-regional, and national development goals. To this effect, higher education providers are expected to be more agile, flexible, and responsive to the dynamic contexts of the continent. I hope the various sub-themes and papers to be presented by eminent scholars from different parts of the world underlie the need for addressing the multifaceted challenges of higher education with a view to addressing the development goals in the region and beyond. As always, St. Mary's pledges to make the proceedings of the conference available both in digital and print form. Before closing, I would like to thank those who have traveled a long way to be part of this gathering and hope you will have a very pleasant stay in Addis. I also wish to thank our partners, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Ministry of Education, International Network for Higher Education in Africa at University of KwaZulu-Natal, University of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, Association of African Universities, the African Union, and UNESCO for their generous assistance in making the conference come to fruition. My institution is grateful to each of our speakers, panelists, and presenters for their hard work and commitment. I hope this commitment and the spirit of partnership will endure in the years to come. I'm sure we will have fruitful and rewarding exchanges in the next 2 days with their meaningful implications to greater and sustainable Africa, which we will all want to see today and in the foreseeable future. I wish you all every success in your deliberations. Thank you for your attention.
in fact, my pleasure to call Dr. Rita. The next speaker is Dr. Rita, please.
In the 21st International Conference on Private Higher Education, allow me to thank the President of St. Mary's University for taking the lead in such an important scientific event, which brings together various stakeholders on higher education to debate, but also to find solutions to the challenges that our continent, Africa, faces and is trying to address in this 21st century. This is a clear indication that St. Mary's University believes in the sustainability and the contributions of higher education in the continent. Investing in higher education and scientific research means betting on the quality of education, training, scientific and applied research, but also on the competitiveness. And this represents less than 10% of the total 220 million students around the world. And this number has almost doubled in the last 15 years and will double again by 2030. And we should not forget at the same time that Africa has the fastest growing scientific production in the world, but generates less than 1% research. And it invests only 0.59% of its GDP in research and development compared to the rest of the world, which is around 1.8%. So it is very important for us to contribute to the higher education sphere. I think UNESCO, in response to these challenges and trends, has developed a flagship project which we call Campus Africa, with the aim of supporting African universities and African countries to strengthen their higher education system in the continent through the development of an integrated, inclusive, and quality tertiary education. And to do so, we have focused and are focusing on 4 components: better connected higher education institutions with enhanced research capacities, strengthen recognition for mobility and inter-university cooperation, improved quality and relevance of higher. And I think this issue of climate emergency runs across all our UNESCO programs as well as our projects in Ethiopia. It is one of the biggest issues, and it is a big threat for the future of our planet. So it is very important that we find solutions to mitigate the negative effects, and how do we adapt to these circumstances. So I do encourage all of you participants of this conference to put in front of you the climate emergency at the heart of your action so that we do not leave anyone behind. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Rita. I appreciate your remarks. It's now my distinguished pleasure and honor to invite His Excellency Dr. Samuel Kifle, the State Minister of the Ministry of Education of the Federal Government of Ethiopia, our guest of honor, for his opening remarks and officially opening the 21st International Conference on Private Higher Education in Africa. Your Excellency.
Dear Dr. Rita Bismuth, UNESCO Liaison Office to AU and UNACA, dear Secretary General of the African Association of Universities, Oyewole Olusha, dear Dr. Wondwosen Tamrat, President and Founder of the St. Mary's University, dear Dr. Bakr Osman, Board Chair for the Association of African Universities, dear Presidents of Ethiopian Public and Private Higher Learning Institutions, dear former State Minister Teshome Izenga, who is now serving at the University of Indiana, dear heads of institutions from local and abroad, dear former presidents and the current ones, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to give this opening remarks at the 21st International Conference on Private Higher Education in Africa, flagged by the theme Sustainable Development in Higher Education, Reality or Hype. Taking this opportunity, allow me to thank once again St. Mary's University and its partner institutions, the Association of African Universities, the International Network for Higher Education in Africa, chaired and managed by our brother, Professor DamtewTeferra, the University of KwaZulu-Natal, where he serves as a professor, and the African Union Commission, UNESCO. With that note, and wishing you a successful conference. I declare the conference is up. I thank you.
Dr. Samuel, thank you. Okay, as he's taking off immediately, would you be all kind to come from, I don't know where we're taking the pictures. We're going to take pictures right here. Yes, right here. So would you be kind all to take the pictures?
And the second talk will be on the university leadership for effective and strong research and innovation ecosystem as catalyst for sustainable development. Professor Vargas, the floor is yours. You have 15 minutes.
Friends, since I am the opening keynote speaker, what I'll try to do is three things. One, discuss a little bit about not sustainable development goals, but the evolution of this whole idea of sustainable development leading to sustainable development goals. Then try to spend 4 or 5 minutes on what does it mean. Then spend another 5 or 6 minutes on higher education and sustainable development goal. I'll be focusing less on Africa. This will be more a global picture because we have another specific session on Africa. And I am also a speaker as a panelist. I will come to some of the specific issues of Africa in that one. First, let me say that for me, there are two basic questions. One is what higher education sector can do to promote SDGs. This one, that is discussed everywhere. But what is less discussed is that how to promote sustainable development in higher education. So the question that was posed at a later stage, mostly by the economists and also some by the social scientists at that point of time, was how to make development sustainable. It is very different from sustainable development goals, the whole idea. So that is the one which I am trying to bring out. So the world is physically finite, and therefore growth of population, industrial production, and pollution will reach their limits. This was the Club of Rome in 1972. This is the time we see that sustainable development is taking a more concrete shape. Immediate effect was that sustainable development gets its first international recognition in 1972. The United Nations Conference on Human Environment, UNCHE, in Stockholm, integrating the development with environmental protection. The second, sustainable development is a matter of social equity. Second, sustainable development implies integration of environmental decisions into the central economic decision-making processes. Community engagement will define their effectiveness in the engagement with the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Vargas, for this very informative talk, for introducing so many concepts. Our second keynote speaker is Professor Dr. Dishum Izingo from Indiana University.
All this challenge, do higher education institutions have a role to play? And if yes, are our higher education institutions well positioned to deliver the required results and impacts? I hope the several papers to be presented during this conference will address how universities would contribute to sustainable development, economic, social, cultural, political, and also change the lives of our communities. At least I have seen 2 papers that address leadership, and one makes me even happier because it's talking about women leadership. You know that there are only 15 women in this conference hall, only 15. It's my strong belief, and it has been well documented, that higher education leaders are key to setting up their institutions for success or failure, but particularly for success when they are well prepared, when they have the competence and vision, and in my opinion, when they are not simply political cronies and conformists. Leaders in this paper's context includes governing boards, that institutional investment in leadership, development, and professional growth is an investment not just on the individual, but also in the institution. A strong leadership for university innovation and research ecosystem ensures that there is coherent university vision, strategic plans, research agenda, and priorities, that there is a clear university research policies, including internal culture, systems, and structures, purposefully anticipated and managed external environments, including forging effective relationships, understanding and influence on government policies on research. The institution's research administration also need to be more strategic and supportive and enabling to research and innovation ecosystems.